Morning.
Happy Friday. Thank you all for being here. I think we'll get started. So today I'm going to kick this off where Ms. Frederick is going to be giving a little presentation. Obviously, as we discussed in last session, we'd be doing our salary proposals today. So she's going to provide you with some information that goes into our salary prep, and then we'll work through our proposals, and I'm going to use my best teacher skill, I guess, and not pass those out until we get through some of the presentations so that we're looking at what she's got on the screen, right? What we, as we've discussed in the past, we all know we're on a tight timeline to get a presentation to the state for approval, looking for a... Yeah.
God bless you.
We have a tight timeline.
Can you mute yourself, please? The caller with the phone number, 561 ending in with 11.
All right. Thank you. So we have a tight timeline, and to get an agreement through and to the state by October 1st. So what we're doing is maybe different than what you might see in other bargaining sessions, where you come in with your lowest offer you're able to prepare, and you knowing that you have something else. We're coming in and getting right to the point of what we have the amount we've been approved to offer. So we're coming in with our the full offer that we've been approved to spend. Okay. So we'll get started with Heather's presentation.
All right, so I'm not sure which one will be better to use, why they have two here for me, but
Got it.
but normally I go through a very long, drawn-out budget presentation, and by slide like 25 or something, I get to, all right, so now this is what we have available, and this is what our budget is. So this is going to be much more concise and to the point. We're going to start with the other districts that have already settled. So Duval, Miami-Dade, and Orange. So starting with Duval, they don't have a blended percentage there. Miami-Dade just recently settled, so they're at a 2.25% average. And then something that they did that was unique, and that which is also included in our proposal after seeing what Miami-Dade did, instead of doing a flat amount for the ESSER bonus, that one-time bonus, they're doing it as a percentage. So we thought that was a good idea, so you're going to see that in our proposal. They had a 2.25% in FY23, but if you look at FY22, they only had a 0.76% increase. So when you're looking at the increases and the percentage increases across the state, you have to consider what they did in FY22 and combine them together. Orange had an average of 6% in FY23, but when you look at FY22, they had a 0.61%. So both Miami-Dade and Orange had higher percentages this year. They had less than 1% recurring increases in FY22. There are some other smaller districts that are out there. Alachua, looks like they have a very high increase at 5.4%. But if you go back and look at last year, it was really minimal. And then you need to look at their starting salary. They're still not at $47,500. So when they're giving that big increase, it's really going to that minimum teacher salary. Same with looking at Pasco and Polk, same situation. Polk just got to $47,500 as part of FY23 settlement negotiations. Pasco at 5.4% increase is still not at the $47,500. So this shows a comparison of some of those districts that I highlighted, and this gives an overview, a quick overview of what our proposal is going to be for CTA based on the funds we have available. So for Palm Beach, our proposal is going to be a blended average of 3.5%. If you look at that over 2 years, that's 7%, which is the highest recurring average of any of the other districts. And then also for the non-recurring, it would be a flat $1,500 or 3%, whichever is greater. So that those two packages combined makes it the best offer within the state. And here's a little bit further breakdown of what the total cost is. So the total cost of a 3.5% blended average is $29.2 million. That's the amount that would be funded out of the operating fund. And the breakdown of where that money would come from, it would be $14.5 million would be coming from the TSIA, and then the district would be matching that with $14.7 million. And then for the ESSER bonus of the 3% of 3% or $1,500, whichever is greater, the cost of that with benefits is $24.9 million or $25 million. We were fortunate to have a little bit of a higher budget this year, a 5% increase in the base student allocation or the per student funding. But you have to take into consideration all of our money is dictated by the state. So the state does set aside money in the teacher salary categorical, but they also set aside money within the base student allocation. And so that increase in the base student allocation that we had this year is also had to pay for the increase to the minimum hourly rate of $15 per hour. It also was increased to pay for the 1% increase in FRS. And so we already negotiated, because we were negotiating so late last year, so we knew the legislative session had ended. So when we were doing our negotiations last year, we were already spending the money we knew we were getting this year to increase the minimum wage to $15 per hour. So a lot of that budget that we received in the current year was already set aside by state mandates, even though it wasn't set aside in a specific categorical. It was mandated within the legislation that increase in the base student allocation was for those specific purposes. So the total package for CTA is $54 million, and the recurring raises range from 4.5% to a low of 2.6%. Mr. Kubrick is going to go through the detail, because what we wanted to try to do this year, which is we've heard CTA say you didn't want to just do a blended average where everybody gets the same rate for highly effective and effective, wanted to somehow tier it in some way to impact compression. So we are working with the Florida Department of Education. We've sent this proposal to the Florida Department of Education for approval, and we are waiting to hear back, because we do agree with you that we do have to have some differentiation, but unfortunately we are limited to what the state will allow. So this is a proposal that we have sent for approval. And then I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Kubrick to break down in more detail the specifics of the different tiers.
All right, and I'll give you a minute. English is passing out the actual numbers, the costing model that Mr. Mitchell developed. So, but when you're looking at it, so in dating back to our last round of negotiations, we've both sides expressed interest in addressing compression on our salary schedule. And when we jumped to 47.5 a few years ago, we collapsed. Well, as of right now, years 0 through 14 are all the same starting salary. And so, and also, as mentioned, when we did that, the beginning teachers saw the bulk of that increase, not the veteran teachers. So in an effort to sort of balance it out as much as we can while staying within the law, this is sort of a concept we came up with, and it recognizes really, not only, the years of experience someone might bring, but the expertise that comes along with having that many years of experience and what you bring to the classroom as a veteran teacher. So that's sort of where this comes from. And you'll see here a master teacher, career teacher, certified teacher. These are these are names that can be, we'll obviously need to discuss and work through, but that's on the performance schedule. And then over to the right, you can see what it looks like for the grandfather schedule. So in last, this percentage raise, while it's the same, as last one, where blended of 3.5%, it allows us to recognize veteran teachers and what they're bringing to those classrooms, but at the same time, not ignoring what, all of our teachers would get, because across the board, you can see they're pretty good raises for everybody. But last year with the law change where the grandfathered salary schedule had to be, less than what the performance schedule got, the max that they were able to get, I think, was maybe 2.8, where on this one you could see it's 3.6. So that's where we're at with, and that was the idea, because I know there'll be a lot of questions. Well, what does that mean, a master, career, certified teacher? Years of experience in master teacher, teachers who have 10 or more years of experience, undoubtedly bring a much different level of expertise to the classroom, and they are also, in just through the data, less likely to leave the profession. Career teachers, teachers with 5 through 9 years of experience, certified teachers 0 through 4. So that's sort of the brackets, but that would also come along with some, different expectations that you just have of a teacher with that level of experience, what they bring to the classroom. So I'll give you a minute to take a look through the numbers, and if you have any questions, we're ready.
All right, we'll take this and go back and come back and let you know what our
Okay.
position is on it.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I will say before, actually, I do have another version of this. So after, you made it clear about the not evaluated teachers, we did adjust some numbers where it's the same general raise, the same amount of money, but the not evaluated were moved up to the effective range percentage. So I have those as well that I could share with you. But I stuck with the original proposal because that's what basically we've been working on, and I wanted it all to make sense. So, all right.
Okay. All right, and then when we get that, we'll take that into consideration
Okay.
as well.
Sounds good.
Yeah, just the one, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, what we're passing out to you now is some work we did on the preamble, just so that we can begin to, put this in place, so you can kind of see where we are, and we both can agree to what the preamble should look like. Again, because the previous preamble was a part of a 1-year contract, we want to make sure that we add in the information we need for a 3-year deal. And so we talk about the number of appendices we can bring in, and the number of sections and articles that we can bring in subsequent years for negotiation. So that's what that green is talking about, bringing in the 4 items and the, excuse me, in the articles and section, and then the same with, and then 2 appendices. All right.
Okay.
So again, we want you to have a chance to look that over so you can see where we are and what we're trying to get to, and see if there's any disagreements in that area. Question?
Not yet, not at this time.
Okay, the next item, Article 8, Compensation and Benefits, Section B, Experience for Salary Defined. In number 1, in the middle of that paragraph, we're addressing the starting salary for retired employees when they start. At one time in the district, a retired person, if they retired and came back, they would come back at that maximum salary level, not the longevity, but at least the maximum 25-year salary level. And then we, later on, it was changed to they come back not at the maximum level, but at level 7 in the contract. And when we did that, there was a difference in the salary, the beginning salary and the starting salary for those retired teachers returning. And so when we went to the 47.5 a couple years ago, we did not move that level up with the same difference at the starting level for retired teachers, because the idea was, since they were retired and they've been here, we would hire them, get them to come back at a higher level than a beginning teacher. And so when we made that change with the 47.5, we did not raise that, did not include that increase in it. So we're asking for that 5,200 to be added back in for retired teachers when they come in to work for us. Particularly looking at the fact that, we have a shortage of teachers, and a lot of them are able to come back, and we want to, do everything we can to try and get them to come back. We are doing some things that help with the referendum. Should that pass, that helps to get them to come back as well. But as you know, we have a grave need for getting teachers in the classroom. So we just feel that we need to do everything we can to try and make that happen. All right? Anything else? All right.
Thank you.
All right. Now in the area, the next one is Appendix B, supplements. And so in the same spirit that you presented to us with the updates of the contract, we did the same as it relates to updating in Appendix B. So with the red strikeouts, you'll see where there were raises offered over a 2-year period, and it identified the amount of the supplement, but that information stayed in. It goes back to July 2018, July 2018 and July 2019. Well, all that's over now, so we figure we can pull those out and put in those final amounts. So we didn't raise any of those amounts. We just went to the final one that was listed for July 1, 2019.
Okay.
All right? So we just did that throughout the supplemental area. Okay? Okay, if you go back to page 149, that's at the bottom of the page, and if you look down the left column, you'll see secondary schools with the strikeout. And what we added in there was all employees in the T-bargaining unit. And the effort there is really to add elementary school teachers to the reading endorsement supplement that's given. As you know, that was added in several years ago, 2007, 6, where the state wanted social studies teachers to be reading endorsed so they could cover the reading requirements that the state had put in place. And so instead of having all teachers get reading endorsed on their own time, the district, allowed us to agree to a $1,000 supplement for them going and getting reading endorsed so that we could provide the quality instruction in reading that that the state required and that our students needed. At that time, there wasn't a pressure from the state on elementary school teachers as it related to reading, and there was some focus in reading in the pre-service programs for reading teachers in terms of their curriculum in colleges. So the district decided not to include elementary school teachers in getting this reading endorsement. Although, just to put on the record, CTA did push for that to happen, but it didn't pass through. So what we're asking is that all elementary school teachers now receive that same supplement. It was $1,000, now it's $1,100 with the increases in the supplements, but that they receive it for earning the reading endorsement as well. As you know, there's a major focus from the state level as it relates to reading and teachers being reading endorsed or reading certified. And so what we're asking is that our elementary school teachers who have gone and gotten that certification because of the requirements to teach students who did not, pass third grade, and they had to be taught by reading endorsed teachers, and there was a need in this district, and a lot of our teachers did take it upon themselves to go and get reading endorsed in order to satisfy that requirement. And we're still pushing for that piece. This is probably one of the things that's near and dear to my heart, because I know that as an individual, one of the biggest pieces in terms of changing the trajectory, of my life was my ability to read.
Yep, understood.
And having an experience where I was in a country where I couldn't read anything, it was a bad thing. That's a tough place to be, And so luckily I just used directions, it kind of went in a square so I wouldn't get lost because I could read it in street signs, But the anxiety that I felt, I kind of understand how important it is to be able to read. And so that has been a major mantra of CTA to try and boost that. We have a couple of reading courses we teach ourselves. We're working with the district now to be a part of their reading endorsement certification program so that we can also offer an opportunity for teachers to get reading endorsed through live instruction provided by CTA. And we work with the state. And they let us know that we have to work with the district through this new requirement that's required that they present the new reading program in July 23. And so we'll be working with the district to develop, our part in that and working out those matrices for the competency areas. So again, we're not just talking. We wanted to get in a supplement. We're working to make sure that this piece is a serious effort of Palm Beach County Schools to our students in the district. So that our request is that they receive that same $1,100 supplement as our secondary teachers receive. Questions?
No, not right now.
Okay.
It's also worth noting that that's a one-time stipend more so than a supplement, so that once it's paid to an eligible employee, they will never again get another penny off of that. as far as the cost factor goes.
All right. Okay, and then over on page 151. Okay, we bring this back to the table again. We've brought it to the table a couple of times in previous years because we recognized that there was a need for support for ESC teachers, and if we didn't do something, we would end up, having a shortage in this area because people will become burnt out, leave teaching, or leave the ESC area itself. And now those things have come to fruition, and we've had those teachers come to us and make numerous presentations about the challenges that they have, and even in speaking with some principals, the challenges that they have in terms of new teachers and current teachers having to do case management, IEP preparation, goal reports. And the case management, a lot of times, they're working with kids that they don't actually teach. And so, they're having to go and put additional time in to try and find those students so they can, provide the service to them. Well, I kind of went through, we went through the district employee list and pulled out the ESC groups, and we kind of looked at those where we felt there was a need. And so this is not everybody, but this is a large portion of those where there is a grave need in terms of them receiving some kind of support in areas. And of course, they continue to bring to us where other districts, and I don't know if you put it up on the board when you gave the report, but where other districts are providing the supplement for the ESC teachers because they're having the same struggles that we're having in this area. And so we want to make sure that we begin to address this issue. And this is probably just a beginning step, but we feel we need to do something to let people know that we want to be able to recruit and even, more importantly, we want to be able to retain because that experience is valuable to us. And we know that this is a highly skilled group and that we need them. So we're asking for a $2,500 supplement for these job codes or job titles in our ESC department. Questions?
Nope.
Okay, and we do know that in the numbers, and of course the numbers can change, but the group is about 1,735 people. It's along those.
Sounds about right.
Okay. All right. Leave out anything? Leave out anything? All right, and that's what we have, at this point, in terms of where we are, other than getting back to you on the salary piece.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. That comes in the.
Okay, if we can, I'd like to caucus, I'm sorry, do you have something?
No,
I'd just
go
like
ahead.
to caucus with our team to discuss and make sure we don't have any questions.
You want us to leave?
Yes, please.
Oh, so get out. All right.
Okay, welcome back.
Competencies that are on the test, and I'm down to the last module. I just haven't finished the last one. I've been thinking.
Welcome back, everybody.
10
Thank you for giving us some time to talk. Thank you for giving us some time to talk through this. So just to give you an update on sort of what we talked about and where our heads are and what we're doing, our next steps are on the retired teacher's salary. You won't find us, arguing that point. We think that makes a lot of sense. Bringing a retired teacher in at the base salary in some cases, might just be shutting down an entire applicant pool that we all know we need, right? So Mark is going to run some numbers on that, see what it is, because, you know, it's more than just those going forward. There are people who have been hired at that lower rate, so we have to cost it out to see what that actually looks like to bring them up to where we're, you know, the 5,200 or something else, right? But something else to keep in mind on that, they do get the referendum. I just want to make sure we're all clear on that, you know, so even if they did come in at the base, even with the new base, which would be somewhere in the low 49s, they'd be at almost 60, you know, with the referendum. So, you know, but. But I agreed. We do think it's something that we'll take a look at, and in our next session we'll bring something back in response. On the reading endorsement, that is something also that we don't disagree with, and you know, we will look into doing that and costing that out. It is one of our, you know, strategic initiatives. It's very important to the district. We don't disagree. I guess one thing that we want to make sure we do, though, is if we do pay this, you have to add it to your certification, and you can't remove it. You know, because if you get paid and then, you know, in a year or 6 months later remove it so I can't be teaching in those areas, that doesn't help us, and that's against, I think, what the core, you know, reason the thing we're trying to solve here, right? So so that would be something that we'll write up something like that for the next session, okay?
All right, right now, excuse me, right now, they are required to put it on their certificate.
Right.
And you want to make sure that it stays.
It just should. If you pay for that, to add it to, you know, it just, you know, I think even in my personal opinion, I think that if you come in with a certification that's, you were hired with this, you should be required to maintain it. That's sort of my feelings on that, but we won't get into all that. We'll just stick with the reading endorsement right now, all right?
Right, okay.
So, then the ESE supplement. So, you know, this is something that, you know, we know ESE is it's our most critical needs area. We have more vacancies in that area than anywhere else. We understand the complexity of that position, and all. We're going to take a look at it a little deeper and have some further discussions. But, you know, we do think that there's a lot of work that can be done and needs to be done on the differentiated pay model that's in the contract right now, where it's really just, as Mark would say, a placeholder or something, but it doesn't really give us the return that you would hope to get in a differentiated pay model, where, because the amounts are just not that big, right? And spread out over the whole year, you might not even notice if you pull it, right? So we have some work, I think, that we need to do to get there, and we're definitely interested in doing that, but we'll take a look at this for now, and how that can maybe work in this round, all right? Beyond that, we have no further questions or anything like that.
All right, so basically what we'll do is we'll go back and begin to look at your proposal and digest it and make sure we fully understand the pieces and areas where we feel that we may need to, you know, make some modifications. We'll do that, but in the meantime, we'll just make an assessment and see where we are.
Okay, sounds great.
One of the things we would like to say, though, we do value what you've done in terms of how you presented this to us and what you're presenting. And so we're not ignoring that, you know, but we do need to kind of look at and see what.
Of course.
All right?
I'd expect nothing less. So.
All right.
All right.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate everybody working together on this, and look forward to connecting on our next session, which is the 15th, I believe.
Okay.
So, all right. Have a great day, everybody.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.